Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting Crystal Palace career mode save. My name is Joe, and if we take a look back to our last episode, we had two huge wins. The first against Luton, and then the second, a massive home victory against Wolves. And if you look at our form, since those last couple of games that we had on the channel here, we actually had a pretty good run of form here. We had a 0-0 draw against Tottenham, and if I remember right, it was quite an evenly matched game here. We really didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to score. As you can see, we had 0 shots on target. They had 4, but the XG was fairly similar. Possession, obviously, Tottenham, just the better team, more clinical team. They had more possession. Picked up some yellow cards, but overall, I will take a 0-0 draw against Spurs. The next game we want to take a look at is a home derby against Brighton, and we were able to come away with a 1-0 win, really dominating the performance against Brighton today. Richards with the goal, if I remember correctly, it was a nice little header from a corner. That ended up in the back of the net, and again, quite a nice victory here. Quite a few yellow cards as well. Obviously the excitement of the derby against Brighton, but as I mentioned before, overall a great 1-0 win. We completely outplayed them in regards to the XG, dominated possession, and overall quite a happy performance. We then followed that up with a 2-1 win over Villa. And again, a fairly even match here. Not really a whole lot going on, except in the last couple of minutes, the dying part of the game here. Edouard earned a penalty and fired it home to give us the 2-1 victory over Aston Villa. Probably escaped a little bit with the penalty there at the end, as that really would bump up the XG from about a 1.2 to a 2.0. So maybe we were outplayed a little bit in the end, but in the grand scheme of things, Edouard finally showing up, scoring 2 goals here. Elise on the right wing has been absolutely fantastic for us in this recent run of form. A 2-0 loss to Manchester United. Again, not really much to note here other than the fact that we were just outplayed by Manchester United. Obviously a much better team. We just didn't really get much going on in that game. And then finally, completing the sweep of Newcastle United. Really, I would say, resounding victory. The XG was really not that far off, so it really was a fairly evenly matched game. We were just more clinical in front of goal. An own goal 5 minutes into the game. Isaac, with his fantastic finishing, was able to tie it up 10 minutes in, and then Elise just kind of took control over the second half. Or, sorry, the next 10 minutes, the second half. I say the second half of the goals being scored, but really took control over the next couple of minutes and fired home 2 goals for us. And then Eze right before halftime. Second half was kind of a dud, but other than that, it was an absolutely fantastic win for us. If we go and actually look at the squad itself, we're getting goals pretty much everywhere. Mateta is on international duty. I believe it is the African Cup of Nations, if I'm not mistaken. So he will be out for the next couple of weeks or so. So we really have to rely on Edouard to ensure that we're getting our goals. Again, 3 goals from 14 appearances. Not absolutely great, but when you look at Elise coming back from injury, 11 appearances, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 goal contributions in 11 games is absolutely fantastic. And you can see we've got a lot of our younger players are wanted by some really, really big clubs here in the Premier League. So hopefully we can hang on to those players and get a couple of wins. If we take a look at our schedule for today, we are going to focus on the FA Cup third round match away against Everton. And then we're also going to be taking on Brentford away from home as well in a week. So let's go ahead and head to the tactical meeting here, and we will make our team. So if we can see here, we have Henderson back in goal. Give him a start during the FA Cup. Mitchell, Anderson, Gahey, and Richards are going to be our back 4 here. Lerma and Hamada are going to be our center mids. And then on the out or left side of our attacking midfield, we have Ayew, Mateus at center, and Elise on the right wing, and then Edouard up top. So hopefully we can get some goals today and continue this incredibly good run of form. I don't want to use the term Europe quite yet, because I don't want to jinx myself, but we're currently in a European qualification spot. Now, again, we have a lot of matches coming up. We've been very lucky the first half of the season in regards to our defense. We're actually second in goals allowed, obviously probably last in goals scored, but our goal scored has been picking up. So hopefully we can continue this good run of form in today's match and maybe have a nice deep FA Cup run. It'd be nice to kind of have that money moving forward, as we are a little bit low on transfer budget and a little bit low on wage budget. Been over the wage budget the entire season, so possibly a little bit extra cash may not be a bad thing if we can get a nice little run here in the FA Cup. So, that being said, start of the game, not really a whole lot going on here. Kind of a 0-0, really no shots on target. Won a corner. Looks like Richards is going to take the ball to Elise. Plays it back to Gehi, who plays it to Lerma, back to Ahmada, who plays it to Edward, to Ayu. If that counts, that is a superb goal. Ayu might have been fractionally offsides. Doesn't look like he was. A beautiful team goal, and Palace up 1-0 over Everton. You got to love that. Absolutely great teamwork here. Just a couple of one-touch passes. Little bit there, Edward. Perfect to Ayu. Fires it home past Jordan Pickford. They're on the near post, and it is 1-0 Crystal Palace. Absolutely superb performance. Let's continue this up, and let's keep going. Let's get some more goals today. Still only that one goal, only that one shot on target. Don't mind it. Hey, if the game ends like this, we're in the 4th round of the FA Cup, and we continue our journey of really good form. You know, sometimes you worry at Christmas time if you're going to end up having a good run of form. It's so important because you play so many games in December. It can be a really hectic run of form for any team. And just, you know, getting through that with, you know, a draw, a loss, and a couple of wins really pushes you up on the table. It really does not take much in the Premier League to, you know, you string a couple wins together, and before you know it, you are really in the thick of things. Close opportunity there by Everton. It looks like it might have been a foul in the box. I really didn't quite see it unless it was the slide tackle in on maybe Calvert-Lewin, and no penalty given. All right. Pretty happy about that. Looked like it was a clean tackle. Really didn't look like it was much of a scoring opportunity anyways. Obviously, if it's in the box, it is a penalty. But, you know, we're going to take it. Elise with the corner here. And looks to be cleared back out to Elise. Looks to get the ball in the box. And he's just going to curl one just wide of the net. Honestly, thought that might have, you know, nicked off the post and in the back of the net. But it sails wide for an Everton goal kick. It's still 1-0 Crystal Palace as we approach halftime. And we're there. 1-0 Palace. Cannot argue with that whatsoever. We completely dominated. 2 shots on target to 5 shots. We've dominated possession. Passes completed. This is becoming a team that I'm honestly very proud of. Very beginning of the season, we didn't have a whole lot of good things going on. I was a little bit nervous about how the season might end up. But reality speaking, we've turned into quite a good little team. Nobody really wants to play us at this point in time. So very thrilled for what this team has become. Excuse me. I want to control possession. You've been doing absolutely that. Continue what you're doing in the second half, and we will walk out of here with a win. Looks like Everton with the kickoff to start the second half. Again, not quite sure what the end of the season is going to hold for us. We've been on, like I said, a really good run of form, but I know that we've got some really tough opponents coming up at the second half of the season. We really need to ensure that we, you know, as I mentioned before, we need to beat the teams that we need to beat, and, you know, if we can sneak a win or two against some of the teams that we're not supposed to beat, even more power to us. We're supposed to finish upper mid-table. That's exactly where we are at the moment, and hopefully we can continue that good run of form. Looks like Lerma with the corner here. Fires it into the box and cleared away by Everton. Lise gets the ball, but that unfortunately ends the highlight. Not really looking for any substitutions just yet. I feel like everybody's playing fairly decently. Not sure why Tariq Mitchell looks a little bit worried. Okay, doesn't seem like it's happening anymore. Not a lot of highlights here the second half. I think I'm going to make some changes here. Ayu looks a little bit on the tired side, so we're going to replace him and see if we can get anybody. Looks like I did not do a very good job picking my bench. I have almost no offensive players here whatsoever. Let's get on Berg. Like him in the midfield here. I really can't replace any of these offensive players. I need to do a little bit better job of ensuring that my bench has players that can play, you know, in positions that may need to be replaced over time. I guess I'll just replace one player and kind of see how that goes. I guess still 1-0 heading into the 75th minute. We've completely dominated possession here. Looks like they want me to substitute Will Hughes for Jordan Ayew. I'm not 100% sure if I like that substitution or not. I think we're just going to hang on here. But Everton does have possession. They do seem to be moving the ball forward. Calvert-Lewin to Harrison to Onana, who looks like he's just going to fire a shot over the top of the net. Goal kick to Crystal Palace. Okay, towards the end here, I realize we're just about to get to a highlight. I am going to go ahead and change this to some time wasting. We want to make sure that if we do have an opportunity to waste a little bit... Oh, that is a terrible, terrible pass. Oh, Henderson. Don't do that. Bad Henderson. Bad Henderson. Gosh, we're trying to keep the hamster wheel going here. And if Henderson keeps making mistakes like that, he's going to allow a goal and let Everton back into this game. We do not want that to happen. Okay. Make a few more substitutions here. Try to kill out a little bit of clock. Richards, we can get Ward on for Richards. Mitchell... You know what, Anderson. Let's get Holding in for Anderson. And don't really have any other substitutions here. Will Hughes on for Lerma. There we go. Get them on, let them run out the clock for the rest of the game. We'll take a 1-0 victory. Cross our fingers, and hopefully we get a 1-0 victory. It looks like Everton with the ball again. Palace win the header, win it back, and it's kind of a back and forth between Everton and Palace, but Palace winning the ball. Gahey now drives the ball forward to the left-hand side to Ayew. Ayew stops right before the box. Tyreek Mitchell gets dispossessed before he can take a shot, and now Everton are on the counterattack, heading down the left-hand side. Danjuma. Ward absolutely depossesses him. Fantastic. Elise up the up the right side, rather. Passes the ball really to nobody, and unfortunately the highlight ends. We get another highlight here with Palace in the offensive zone. Elise cannot get his head on the ball. Ward down the right-hand side looks to get the ball into the box. Elise, again, looks like it's deflected, which means it's a great save by Jordan Pickford to make sure that that does not get into the back of the net and make it 2-0 Palace. Berg again with the corner. Looks to get Ward, can't get the header on the ball. Back to Berg. Berg lets it, instinctively go out of bounds, which will actually help us kill a little bit of time here. We got about 30 seconds left until the end of the game. Still 1-0 Palace. Mitchell really doing a good job here of just wasting time. Really just looks like the game's just kind of stuck. Mitchell into the box to Mateus. Mitchell's going to look to cross, plays the ball back to Holding, Holding to Hughes, Hughes to Berg, Berg depossessed by McNeil. But again, the 5 minutes are up and looks like it's going to be the end of the game, and it is full time. Palace win their first FA Cup match of the season, 1-0 over Everton. We have to be absolutely pleased with that performance. Completely dominant. Really did not allow Everton to get in the game. We'll back ourselves against anybody at this point in time. So a fantastic performance by Crystal Palace. Really not letting Everton get started here. £105,000. A little bit over there. What's the slogan for Tesco? Every little helps. Well, every little helps us get to our financial goals. So we're going to take a quick little break here. We'll come back in just a few moments, and then we will get to our next game, a Premier League match away against Brentford. All right then, folks, a couple of changes made for the Brentford game. We've got a couple of injuries here that really kind of set us back a little bit. Edouard is going to be out for 4 to 5 days, so that limits kind of who we can start up at striker. Lerma out for a couple of days and weeks as well. We got a couple players on international duty. It's unfortunately just a makeshift team for our game against Brentford. We really don't have any strikers other than Jordan Ayew, so he's going to play up top. We don't have enough players to really go through and play an attacking central midfielder, so we're going to play one midfielder back. So in that case, we have a midfield of Ahamada, Hughes, and Berg here. Again, back four, Mitchell, Anderson, Gahey, and Richards. Henderson back in goal. It's kind of a makeshift squad today, but, again, we'll see what we can do with the form that we've been having. We're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Let's see if we can kind of continue this good run of form. Not exactly sure what to expect with this kind of new tactic here, this new formation, and just a bunch of stopgaps really in place. Eze's coming back off of injury. Would love to have him back in the squad. Unfortunately, fortunately, we have a international break coming up over the next 2 weeks, so hopefully we can get some players rested and back to our starting lineup. You know what? We owe Brentford after our last match. Let's go out there and actually make a difference here. Flexible, score goals, strong start. So, again, it's rough when injuries hit at the same time as an international cup, because you don't really have the squad depth. And with a team like Palace, who they can put together a good starting 11, but to really have the depth needed to play against some of the higher tier teams on the Premier League. I'm certainly not saying Brentford's one of them, but we almost just went down 1-0 30 seconds into the game, so I'm not too terribly optimistic about the day. But, when you look at teams like Manchester City and Manchester United, they've got the depth to be able to compete on a high level, regardless of a few players getting injured. For teams like Palace, we really have to rely on our starters quite a bit throughout the season to really give ourselves an opportunity to be successful, especially in the latter half of the season when, legs are starting to get tired, international breaks are few and far between, and you got some tournaments here that, play a big role in what players you can and cannot play. And as of right now, it looks like Brentford is in control of this match. Two big key highlights here into the first 6 minutes of the game. A shot fired just over the top of goal. Decided to keep Henderson in goal, kept a clean sheet last game. Not that he had a whole lot to do against Everton, as Crystal Palace played a solid defensive performance. Again, Brentford with the offensive attack here, and it looks as though they are going to score. Kevin Shad puts it past Henderson. It's 1-0 to Brentford. Not pleased about that. So make some changes here. We're going to break the entire team because they've not played very well today. They've been very, very poor. And done nothing with the ball. And, I'm not sure what to expect when all of our good players just don't show up. They can't show up. They're either out on international duty or they're injured. I guess it's just the nature of the Premier League. You can win some games, but you're going to lose some as well, especially when injury crisis happens to your team. You're getting absolutely nothing here. I'm tempted to go to a positive attitude because I feel like we should be the better team here. So we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, yes, that is a beautiful goal. Ahmada to the back of the net. First ever Palace goal. Great job with the throw-in and just finding it. Really threading the needle in between the Brentford defenders here. Mateus, and then I believe it was Mitchell who gave a beautiful pass in the middle, and then Ahmada just slots it home. It's 1-1, Palace and Brentford. Probably undeserved at this point in time, as Brentford has a massively higher XG than we do, but we will take a 1-1 draw going into halftime. Look at the dressing room. We've just not created enough. We've not been positive enough. So I'm going to actually change the tactic to a positive mentality. I might be shooting myself in the foot with this. Because I'm not sure if we have enough up top to really help us out with this, but we're going to do the absolute best we can. Might get Eze on maybe the last 30 minutes of the game and then maybe be able to switch back to our original formation. We'll just have to wait and see what happens over the course of the first part of the second half here. Looks like we're going to take the kickoff and start the second half. Not a lot going here. The first part of the second half, no real shots on target. Not a lot has changed since the first half, really, other than just time ticking away. 60 minutes in, still 1-1, Palace and Brentford. Might be looking to make a substitution here in the next, after the next highlight here. I can make a nice little substitution. I'd like to try to get us back to that formation that we started. So if I had to take a guess, I'm probably going to take Hughes off and then try to get Eze back on and kind of rearrange that top four there. To really, oh, come on. Please be, and that is offsides, thank goodness, because that was poor defensively from Palace. Again, I guess it looks like we'll just have to wait for this next highlight as it is immediately after the last highlight. Brentford with the ball, attacking down the left-hand side, gets it into the middle and into the box. Henry and just fires it to Jensen off the Crystal Palace defender. We are going to go ahead and make some of those substitutions here, so I am going to, instead of going to take Hughes off, we're going to put Eze in there. And then again, I'm going to change the formation here. Eze can play that, yes. Not a lot here. Obviously, I cannot make really any substitutions here. Well, that's not necessarily entirely true. I can bring this player on. I did bring him up from the youth squad just in case we needed somebody. And I think this might actually not be a bad opportunity to play him. So I'm going to go ahead and put Eze in the midfield. I'm going to put my new player here, Ebowe? I'm terrible with names. You'd think working in education I'd be pretty good at this by now, but not the case. And then defensively, it doesn't look like anybody's playing poor. Berg's not had the best of games. Riedewald has not played a whole lot, but I want some fresh legs out there, so we'll get that substitution in. And then we've really got our defenders, so we'll change those if needed a little bit later on. Go ahead and get to the next highlight here. Hopefully we can get a little defensive stop here on this corner by Brentford. Looks to be cleared out. Looks like Henry from Brentford gets the ball back, but it's the end of the highlight. 70 minutes gone. 1-1. Brentford and Palace. Brentford with the ball again. Looks to be slowly but surely getting the ball down that left-hand side very methodically. Henry in good tackle. Great tackle made by the Palace defender to ensure, because that ball looked like it was going to end up in the back of the net. Had a really good angle there and a really good opportunity to take a shot, but fortunately the Crystal Palace defender gets in the way and prevents a scoring opportunity from happening. Eze now at the corner. Looks like Crystal Palace has an opportunity. Gets the ball into the box. Fires it home. Nobody there. Back to Eze to the new player, Ebowe. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. It is what it is. I'll learn how to pronounce his name if he scores a goal. Might get an assist. Ooh, it was actually a good ball into the box. Eze. And the Brentford keeper had to make an impressive save there to keep the game 1-1. Elise now with the corner. Into the box. Richards with the header just over the top, and it will be a goal kick to Brentford. It's still 1-1. Again, we're going to make a couple substitutions here. I'm actually going to go ahead and I know we're tied here, but I will take a draw with just the patchwork of a defense and offense we've gone through and put together for today's game. I'll go ahead and get Richards off. Played quite well today, but a little bit tired. We'll get Joel Ward in there. And I don't really think I need to make any other substitutions. Holding, put in his transfer request, by the way. Holding, said he wasn't playing enough games, put in a transfer request, put it in for $20 million. We'll see if we get $20 million for him. Not bad for somebody who signed for Palace for $1 million from Arsenal less than a year ago. We'll go ahead and make that last substitution here. I don't think I'm going to make any changes unless there's any injuries or something significant happens in the game. Pretty happy with the way things are going so far. We've got a corner here. Getting a little bit of time wasting. Ball into the box. And Palace cannot get a header on it. Tyreek Mitchell gets the ball to Ayew. Interesting, the striker playing that far away during a corner is very interesting. Lise to Amada. Riedewald just fires it over the top of the net. No expectation for a goal there. 10 minutes left to play in the game. It is still 1-1 Brentford and Palace. A pretty intriguing game here. You know, Brentford had some really good opportunities the first half, but the second half I feel like Palace did quite a good job of coming back into this game. Brentford did have some opportunities, but some solid defensive work by Palace really prevented them from being any significant scoring opportunities. Bad pass here by Brentford. Eze intercepts, but unfortunately turns the ball back over to Brentford about halfway through the midfield. Brentford now up on the left-hand side here, just kind of ticky-tacking the ball around, looking for any openings, any gaps in the Crystal Palace defense in the 87th minute here. Again, Brentford doing a good job of maintaining possession. Down the line on the left-hand side, it looks like they have a ball into the box. Fires and just missed. Would have been an easy tip-in for Brentford, but it looks like Henderson got in the way of that, knocked the ball out for a corner. Corner taken by Brentford, and Henderson handles the ball quite well. Looks like we got some increased highlights here the last couple of minutes. Not sure if that's going to benefit Palace or Brentford at this point in time. I would guess that Palace probably getting a little bit tired. Again, offensive players really not having an opportunity to get a substitution. And a poor pass there by one of the Crystal Palace defenders ends up in the hands of Brentford. And Brentford are now on the counterattack. Looks to move the ball forward through the midfield. Ward looks to intercept. Clears the ball out. Absolutely love that play. Just get the ball out. Let's reset. Let's make sure that we have all of our defensive players back in order to ensure that we have an opportunity to defend this quite well. Jansen over the top of the net for Brentford. Looks to be a goal kick. We're going to go ahead and go back to a balanced mentality. Looks like Tyreek Mitchell's looking like he's tired. I'll go ahead and substitute Greaves in for Mitchell. Just, again, a little bit of fresh legs. Burning a little bit of time here towards the end of the game. 1-1 Palace and Brentford. If it ends up this way, not going to be too terribly disappointed with the result. Again, with just the makeshift team that we've put together. Ayew is now injured. Absolutely fantastic. Looks like he's able to get back up from that, but again, just when it rains, it pours. We cannot get any help whatsoever, just in terms of injuries. Hopefully, with the 2 weeks we have off, players from the African Cup of Nations or whatever's going on in Africa at the moment right now will end, and hopefully we'll get some of those players back so that way we can really get a full squad out there. Can't really complain. Not really happy with the performance. I mean, like I said, overall, am I happy? It's okay. It's a decent performance, but in the grand scheme of things, we really should be doing better against a team like Brentford. Don't mind the fact that we're 7th in the table. Really think that that's absolutely fantastic. Again, we're looking at kind of upper mid-table here, so if we can kind of keep the pace here, continue to win games, draw games, and do the absolute best we can against some of these opponents coming up here soon, we're not going to have to worry about being relegated. We're not going to have to worry about, being lower mid-table. We think we have an excellent opportunity if we continue to just keep winning games. I mean, if we look at the fact that we've only lost really one game in the last almost 3 months, that's pretty impressive work for a Crystal Palace squad. Now, obviously, we have some of our more difficult games later on in the season. We have Manchester City, Tottenham, and then, 3 out of the last 4 games against Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So we're certainly not going to rest on our laurels and make the assumption we're going to make the European League or any type of Europe competition, but we are going to do whatever we can to continue this good run of form. So with that being said, we'll probably come back probably sometime in March, just a little bit later on in the season, when we start playing some of these more difficult games. I think Tottenham would be good, just a good solid home game against Tottenham, and then away the derby against Brighton. So appreciate you watching. Thanks so much again for taking a look at what I got going on here, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody. Take care.